Okay, welcome back. So before we get into looking at all of these different pre-batch component attributes, let's do a little cleanup. And then actually one additional task so that we can kind of see how one of these new attributes is going to work for us. So let's go ahead and bring up the pre-batch definition. And the first thing that I want to do, and I would encourage you to do the same, is we're going to remove these two attributes that we put in here previously for the copies multiplier and the expand quantity. So we're just going to highlight those two, including their values, and delete them. Now be careful when you're deleting attributes from an XML file because it's really easy to either leave behind a quote or not catch something that you didn't mean to. So we just want to make sure we remove the attribute and we leave this closing tag right here. Otherwise, we will run into problems. So the next thing that I want to do is kind of a task here, is I'm going to go over to where we have our order content, and I want to show you something that I did here so we can demonstrate and show how auto-rotate works. Now you don't have to do this, you can if you'd like, but for this part you can just kind of watch along, it's not a big deal. What I've done, you'll notice here, I'm going to take one of these images from my order content, and notice that we're kind of in a landscape or a portrait orientation here, or landscape, however you want to look at it. But the images are, the right direction as we look at them. So everything kind of looks, the head up here. So what I've done is I took one of the images and I basically rotated it 90 degrees so that it's, kind of going the wrong direction based on the other images in the set. So essentially, the aspect ratio between this image and the other 9 images in the content is not going to match. Now, what that means is that if I were to come back over here to the user interface and we tell it to view pre-batch, as we start going through these images, once I get down to that image, it's going the wrong way. So we're going to use the auto-rotate attribute a little bit later to fix that. But before we get into that, let's finish the cleanup that I was doing. So we'll go ahead and close this image. We want to come back to the XML file. Now in this case actually, the change that I want to make next, or the cleanup I want to do, is not actually in the pre-batch definition. It's in this layout that we modified earlier, making all of the boxes and changing the color of the boxes. So let's go ahead and go to the UI. We will right-click on that order, go back to Product Configuration Browser, and this time I want to expand the pre-batch component. And then we'll expand our text component, and I want to edit this file. So we'll right-click on that layout and come down to Open with Notepad++. Now, I want to go ahead and clean some of this stuff up because typically when you're working with product templates, you're not going to use the box outlines and things of that nature, because it's something that's more used for troubleshooting than it is for just having the box outline show up within your generated output. So for now, I'm not going to delete these in case we want to use them again. I'm just going to come down here and I'm going to do an XML comment that surrounds all of these press marks that we put in here to show the box outlines. And then the other thing, I'm going to leave all these up here exactly how they are. Now, the one last thing I'm going to do is we don't need this custom box. That was just used to show that you can build custom boxes if you need to do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight that one, and we'll remove that from our layout. So we'll go ahead and save this. And then just to make sure everything is exactly how we need it, we'll come back down here to the UI. And let's reprocess this at pre-batch. And once we get this reprocessed, we should be able to see that all of those color lines for the different box outlines should be gone. So we'll view our pre-batch, and sure enough, we're just back to the images themselves. And that's exactly what we want to work with. Now, one thing to notice is that 1-inch space that we put around the content is still there because we didn't make any changes to the box dimensions for media, bleed, and trim. And that's exactly what we want for right now. So we'll go ahead and close this out. And now we are ready to continue on looking at the attributes that are associated with the pre-batch component.